On those long, endless nights when the rain pounds relentlessly against your windows and the wind howls like a distant cry, solitude can become a heavy weight pressing down on your very soul. It is in these moments that homes transform and the familiar becomes unfamiliar. Shadows seem to stretch and twist, and every little sound carries a whisper of something unseen. Tonight's story follows Lucas, a young man who, eager to begin a new chapter of independence, finds himself alone in his house on one such stormy night, unprepared for the terrifying encounter that awaits him. This is a tale woven with suspense, mystery, and an eerie reflection on what lurks in the spaces between silence and sound. Prepare yourself to journey through the shadows of one unforgettable rainy night. Lucas was thrilled to finally live on his own, cherishing the newfound freedom his new home promised. As dusk fell and the skies darkened ominously, a fierce storm began to brew outside, illuminating the heavens with vivid flashes of lightning. The relentless drum of rain on the aged windows filled the otherwise quiet house, creating a rhythm that was both hypnotic and unnerving. Sitting on his sofa with a hot cup of tea, Lucas watched the rivulet slide down the glass, but despite the comfort of his surroundings, a deep unease began to creep in. The house didn't feel the same anymore. It was as if it had become a vessel for something unknown. By late evening, just as he was about to retire for bed, Lucas heard a strange metallic creak coming from somewhere deep within the walls. He stood and cautiously moved toward the sound, heart pounding in his chest, but found nothing amiss. Rationalizing that the old house might just be settling under the storm's assault, he returned to his seat. Yet an icy breeze suddenly swept past his neck, a chilling reminder that something was not right. The feeling of being watched tightened around him like a vice. Suddenly the power cut out, plunging the house into complete darkness. Left with only a candle flickering weakly, Lucas began to feel isolated in a way no storm could explain. Shadows leapt and twisted with the candlelight as he moved through the rooms, each step echoing ominously on the hardwood floors. Then came the voice, a barely audible whisper of his name that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Fear clenched his heart as he realized he was no longer alone. A sudden cold touch brushed his arm, sending a shudder ripping through his body. With trembling hands, Lucas tried to call for help, only to find the phone dead and unresponsive. He was cut off from the outside world in every way. The silence that followed was suffocating, broken only by the ceaseless drumming of rain outside, as though the storm had laid claim to his entire existence. Time seemed to distort in the suffocating atmosphere, with each slow tick of the grandfather clock mocking his growing dread. He tried desperately to control his racing breaths, to anchor himself in reason, but the house had already woven a palpable web of fear and uncertainty. The night stretched endlessly before him, pregnant with unknown horrors lurking just beyond sight. Summoning his courage, Lucas climbed cautiously into the attic, a dusty, cluttered space packed with forgotten relics and memories. The stale air was thick with the smell of mildew and neglect, and cobwebs clung to every corner like ghostly veils. His lantern's shaky light revealed floating motes of dust that danced like tiny specters, and in one shadowed recess, Lucas glimpsed a faint movement that froze his blood in place. A small child stood there, soaked by an unseen rain, eyes hollow and lifeless, staring straight at him. This apparition vanished as suddenly as it appeared, but the chilling imprint of her presence lingered in the cold air and deepened the silence. Time itself seemed suspended in the attic, the ticking clock downstairs meaningless in this realm of shadows. Although his mind urged him to flee, Lucas felt drawn to uncover the history trapped within those walls. Descending to the main floor, delicate, haunting laughter began to echo faintly through the house. It was soft and ethereal, yet resolute, surrounding him with an oppressive presence. The sound seemed to come from all directions at once, as if the spirit children were circling, beckoning him to join a ghostly playtime from which there could be no escape. The boundary between reality and nightmare blurred sharply. Each laugh and whisper gnawed at his sanity, and every creak and shift in the house intensified the dread gripping him. When he glanced at reflections in darkened windows and polished surfaces, the child's visage haunted every glance, her tears glistening like dew on a spectral face. Lucas realized this exhausting game of shadows was a cry for help, a lingering sorrow clinging desperately to this place long after life had moved on. The heavy, sorrowful energy filled the house with the weight of lost innocence and unresolved pain. As dawn threatened on the horizon, Lucas understood that the night's horrors were rooted in an ancient tragedy yet untold. Determined to find the truth, he ventured to the town's library, scouring archives and records that painted a chilling portrait of the house's past. He learned of a family torn apart by sorrow, whose youngest child vanished without trace during a tempest eerily similar to his own night's storm. Neighbors' accounts further confirmed the haunting, telling tales of eerie laughter and mysterious apparitions that retreated with the waning thunder. Lucas felt burdened by the knowledge, weighed down by the responsibility of confronting what others could only whisper about. Yet he was resolved to break the cycle and grant peace to the restless spirit. Returning, now fortified by understanding and resolve, Lucas braced himself for the coming night's final ordeal. Thunder rolled ominously, and the storm reasserted itself, as if warning him against unraveling the house's deepest secrets. Inside, the air thrummed with anticipation, thick with the layered emotion of past and present converging. As the spirit appeared once more, her presence was less threatening, almost expectant, as if inviting Lucas to help her complete the story left unfinished. Emboldened, Lucas spoke softly, assuring her of his compassion, invoking peace and forgiveness. Each word seemed to dissolve the darkness, little by little, as gentle calm began to replace terror. The house exhaled, and with it, the storm began to ease, punctuating the fragile hope emerging like the first light of dawn. Driven instinctively, Lucas climbed back into the attic, searching for relics that might offer closure. Amidst the dusty relics, he uncovered a faded letter penned by the child's family long ago, full of fear, sorrow, and unfulfilled promises to keep her safe. Tears blurred his vision as he read the heartfelt plea for protection and peace that had gone unanswered for years. With reverence, Lucas constructed a humble altar. Candles flickered, incense burned, and prayers were whispered, binding the past and present in a fragile moment of communion. The atmosphere shifted palpably. Warmth began to spread where cold fear had reigned, and the persistent presence lifted gently like morning mist. Silence settled, imbued not with absence, but quiet resolution. The embrace of peace came in waves, wrapping around Lucas and the house alike. The storm outside transformed into a soft drizzle, a sign of the trials passing and a new beginning dawning. He understood that this reunion and ritual formed a bridge, a passage through which pain and loneliness could finally dissolve into healing light. What was once a night of terror became a testament to courage and compassion born in the heart of darkness. As golden sunlight spread through the misted windows, Lucas felt a profound shift within and around him. The house was no longer a cage of shadows, but a place rekindled by peace and hope. The wind had stilled, the rain softened to a gentle murmur, and the heavy weight of fear lifted, leaving only quiet strength. He realized his journey through that night was more than a struggle against the supernatural. It was a passage through his own fears toward understanding and grace. The darkness had tested him, but his kindness had transformed it, showing that even the loneliest nights hold a spark of light waiting to be found. Now, every time the rain drums on his roof, Lucas remembers not just the haunting, but also the healing that followed. It is a poignant reminder that beyond fear lies compassion, and through courage, even the harshest storms can give way to dawn. Many nights passed, and Lucas tried to live normally, but the house never quite felt the same after that night. On one particularly dark and rainy evening, when the storm threatened to eclipse the world once again, Lucas was jolted awake by a strange noise coming from the basement. Hesitant yet compelled, he grabbed his flashlight and crept toward the door. The air grew colder as he descended, and shadows danced menacingly along the walls. Suddenly, out of the darkness, a faint silhouette emerged. The child standing with her small hand outstretched, but this time something was different. The sorrow in her eyes had eased, replaced by a peaceful smile. It was as if she had returned to say goodbye. Lucas reached out, and for a fleeting moment, the spectral form seemed almost tangible. The oppressive atmosphere lightened, and he felt a warm presence envelop him, whispering thanks before slowly fading into the shadows. That encounter left Lucas with a reassurance. Even when haunted, closure is possible. The journey to peace is not always immediate, but comes in moments of connection and understanding. In the weeks that followed, the house was filled with quiet harmony. The echoes of past terrors faded, replaced by soft sounds of rain and calm breezes. Lucas found comfort in the knowledge that he had helped a lost soul find rest, and in doing so, had transformed his own fear into strength. He began to see the home not as a place haunted by ghosts, but as a sanctuary, preserving stories from another time. The experience deepened his appreciation for life's fragility and the unseen connections that bind us all. From that rainy night onward, Lucas welcomed storms as times for reflection, understanding that darkness can shelter light when met with courage. His nights, though still filled with the rain's steady beat, were now embraced with hope, a reminder that even in solitude, we are never truly alone.